My first question for you is this. What qualities do you look for in a potential vice president?
Well, I think you want someone who could become president if that were necessary, where the American people would look at that individual and say, you know what, if something happens to the president, that vice president could serve us well. And that's probably the most important, if not the only critical selection criteria for choosing someone to be vice president.
Does Senator Portman have some of those qualities?
There's no question we have a good group of people in our party who could serve as presidents or vice presidents. There are a number of leaders in our party, like Senator Portman, that many people speak about with glowing reference, and I'm one of those that's a fan of the senators.
The Supreme Court is probably going to make a decision on health care probably sometime soon. If they do overturn it, what would you say to some of those folks who have pre-existing conditions and don't have access to health care that may get thrown off? What would President Romney say to them?
Well, I want to make sure that we have in the permanent solution for health care a provision that prevents people from losing their insurance if they get sick, or if someone has a pre-existing condition, that they're able to get insured as long as they've been previously insured on a continuous basis. And so I want people to understand that we have various systems across the country, with states having found ways to care for their people and get access to insurance for them. I think that's best done at the state level rather than having the federal government impose a mandate on the entire nation. I think that's a mistake.
You said in January that you want to require women on welfare to know the dignity of work. Yet your wife said her career choice was to be a stay-at-home mom. My question is, why would it be okay for your wife to stay home with her children and not okay for women on welfare to stay home with their children?
You know, my wife had 5 kids and had the benefit of being married to a provider. And so my kids grew up in a home where they had a mom that was working at home and a dad who was out there doing his work in the workforce. I think the ideal setting for raising a child is where there's a mom and a dad. I think it would be very important for our kids to understand as they're growing up that marriage is the right course to pursue if you're going to begin having kids, because of course it's a lot harder for a child to grow up with only one parent in the home. Of course, there are many circumstances where folks have no choice. They're divorce, or there's separation, or there's death. But the best and ideal setting, I think, is where there's a mom and a dad in the home.
Is the President Romney going to require women on welfare to get some type of employment or do something like that? States
have various provisions for encouraging people to get the opportunity for work. In my state, we required work for those that received benefits from the government, and I believe it's totally appropriate for there to be providing work opportunities for those that are receiving government support. No question in my mind, but that if you're receiving help, Medicaid, housing vouchers, food stamps, and welfare, that there ought to be an opportunity for work as well.
The President often talks about not going back to the policies of the past, if you will. I guess he criticizes you for wanting to have more tax cuts. I guess my question is, do you feel that the Bush-era tax cuts worked?
Well, what I can tell you is the policies that I have are not the policies of the past, but the policies of the future. The policies I want to put in place have nothing to do with President Bush. They have everything to do with President Obama. Number one, I want to start taking advantage of our energy resources that President Obama has said no to. Number two, I want to get rid of Obamacare. It's killing jobs in small businesses. President Bush has nothing to do with that. Obamacare is President Obama's. And number three, I want to get us on track to have a balanced budget. This idea of spending massively more than we take in every year is not good for the economy, not good for our future, not good for our kids. So my policies are very different than any prior president. My policies are based upon getting the worst of what President Obama has done out of the way and getting us back on track to creating good jobs.
Do you favor a balanced budget amendment?
Oh, I do.
Okay, I'm out of time.
Hey, thanks, Jonathan. Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate your help.
Okay.